I want to ask you about, because what I thought was so interesting, and I wanted to read more about it, was your transition from, you owned a restaurant, you worked in restaurants, and you owned a restaurant, and then one day, as it seemed to us from the book, you have these songs in you. This is what you want to do. This is how you get it out. Did you always know? I mean, you said you could feel it, but did you always know you had it?
Mm-mm. No, that was what I was trying to describe when I first heard the Indigo Girls on the radio before I got sober. There was a message in there for me, but I didn't know what it was. All I knew was the sound of those two voices broke my heart. It hurt me. It made me feel like jumping out of my skin. It made me sick. And I didn't know why. I really liked it. It wasn't that I hated it, it was that I loved it so much. And in retrospect, it took a long time. I didn't understand what the deal was, why that was happening. In retrospect, they were the sound of that music was pointing to an unlived life in me. They were making it possible for people like me to do music in a way that was not allowed before them. I didn't know any of that was going on. I just knew that the sound of, I just did an interview with Amy Ray. For the audio version of the book, we added an extra section of me talking with Amy about this. And it's hard to articulate. When a soul knows something and you feel it and your mind, reason can't catch up as fast. It took a while for me to make sense of it. And I think in the end, what the only sense I can make of it is that their music was pointing me in the direction of my music. And I hadn't any idea that, I owned 3 restaurants at the time. I was doing fine in the restaurant business. There was no secret desire to be a songwriter. I'd put all that behind me a long time before. And I didn't even think about it. My guitar hadn't been picked up in 10 years. But there it was. And it was the beginning of maybe answering the call to song. Or the confusion around what is this led to uncovering the calling. I called it a personal Pompeii. There's a buried city in me and I didn't know about it. And it was underneath layers and layers of addiction and trauma. So it had to rise, and that sound of those voices was sort of the beginning of it for me, I think.
And it turns out you had a lot of stories to tell, or you lived a full life, a
I
full and
have
interesting life.
I have stories.